What's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna talk about the Nikon Z7ii. If you're coming from a FujiFilm XT series, XT4 or XT3, and we're gonna take this for a hike in a special place in Lebanon, talk to you about the main difference in between two systems, giving you advices if you're thinking about investing and buying this system, giving you the right decision to pick in between both, if it's worth it or not. So make sure to stick around and watch the full video to know which system is good for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please make sure to give me a thumbs up and to subscribe. What's up everyone? Welcome to another video here with me on the channel. I'm Qoubayet, landscape photographer from Lebanon, and specifically I'm coming to you today from Qoubayet, Haykal. This area is located in the north of Lebanon, and I'm staying in Haykal's farm. It's a very known and famous place. It's an old man who's been farming and taking care of his land and sheep and prepare his own brandy, his own cheese. So I came here before in winter, and now I come again now in summer. But the main objective of today's video, we're gonna talk about the Nikon Z7ii and compare it to Fujifilm. So coming from Fujifilm XT system, I'm filming now with the XT4. Compared to it, what's the pros, the cons, and why I decided to invest in Nikon's system.
Kick.
So we talk now about ergonomics. It's comfortable in the hand. Coming from a Fujifilm, the grip is so deep for me, even though I have like a big hand. I added the L bracket still for the tripod. It's easier for me to switch from landscape to portrait, and to switch between ISO and exposure compensation. And also here you have the button for record. It's pretty impressive. It takes a bit of time to get to use the buttons, like the dials here, instead of having exposure, ISO and shutter speed like I used to have in the XT system. And the beauty in this one that you can select aperture priority or the U1, U2, U3. You can customize anything that you like in this settings to each one specifically working alone. And this lens, compared to the 16 to 80 on the cropped sensor, this is way too big and a bit more heavy, but for the image quality it's so beneficial. Like you see a big difference in the image quality, and even if you zoom in. It's water sealed, but there's no optic image stabilization in it, because inside your Z system you have the IBIS, which is not necessary to have anymore in the optical glass. And other thing, the screen, it's tilted up and down, but what I'm missing from the XT system, I cannot flip it from the side. This comes with the new Z8, which is it's more expensive, 1,500, more heavy and more bulky and big. So now we talk about image quality. The sensor is 45 megapixel. It's a big step from 26 and 24, which I used to have from the XT4 and XT3. Also the lens setup that Nikon have. I specifically was looking for a lens that have full frame equivalent 24 to 100, which is on a crop sensor 16 to 80, what I had in the Fujifilm. But that lens wasn't that sharp enough, even though it's my favorite lens. At 16, it's soft in the edges, and you always have to stop down your aperture to have a bit sharp image in the center and a bit sharp at the edges. And if you go all the way to 70 and 80, which is here 100 to 120, it's also soft. But on this camera, no issue at all. I did my research, and because of this is the native lens, it's very high quality image you get there, no matter which aperture you put and whatever zoom lens that you put. And the sensor works so perfectly. The sensor they've been using on the Z7 and the DX750 before, and the DSLR, and now it goes to the Z8 with the new updates to it and without the front shutter. So this sensor is perfect and superb. One more thing is that I didn't invest in the XT5, which have the 40 megapixel, like 5 megapixel less than that. It's not at the level, like there's not yet lenses, zoom lenses specifically, that can show all the resolution perfectly from this sensor. The sensor is good, but you need a great lens to show and to perform to the sensor. And here in the Nikon, the dynamic range is my main objective that I was putting to get this camera instead of investing in FujiFilm. Pros and cons. I'm gonna talk about if it's Nikon or FujiFilm, which is better, which is worse. Image quality I give to the Nikon, and I'm talking like XT4, 26 megapixel. I'm not comparing it to this XT5 with the 40 megapixel because like I said, with the lens they're not fully there yet. The system, I prefer to have like dials from top, seeing the ISO, the exposure and the shutter speed from top. It's easier for me to use. So far now I used the FujiFilm for 3 years. I find this easier than using that one. And also, if I want to switch or change the exposure compensation or the ISO on this camera, I have to press 2 buttons. Like I have to press the exposure and then rotate with the main dial behind, and the same goes for the exposure. For FujiFilm, it's easy from the top to do it. There's one pro that they don't have here in the Nikon, that the leveling screen. It's a small one, and if you choose to put the leveling screen behind on the screen, if you select it, you cannot see the histogram. So either you choose histogram or leveling the screen. And the level of the screen is very small. On the new Z system, the Z8 and Z9, they updated it and make it big, but it's a software issue. Like, just fix it on this one. It's not a big deal. But I guess they're forcing people to buy the new system just for these small things. And also, like I said, in the FujiFilm, you can open the screen to the side if it was the XT3 or the XT4. The tracking, I give it to this Nikon. It's way much better, and even though it's old, they have animal tracking. I thought I would never use it. I didn't use it much with my dogs, but now because I know I have it here, I've had so much fun taking photo of them, and it focuses very perfectly to the iris of the eye of the dog. And I have a black dog, which was super difficult for other cameras to focus on, but the camera picked up the dog perfectly. One thing also, like I said, because the XT system is a bit easier to choose and to select from top, and it's like an analog feeling to it. This one is a bit too much stuff happening, that you need to know that this the system here, that you can customize each settings alone. So what I mean, if you choose one of the U1 or U2 or U3, they're separate settings than the main ones. So in the main ones, if you select automatic P or S or A or M, these are separate alone. At the beginning, I had some issue to understand it and to figure out how they do. And inside the settings, there's so many stuff that you can customize on this camera, and the FujiFilm is easier. But I mean, this goes more for professional photographer. That's why it's so complicated at the beginning. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check other videos that I'm posting about my photography gear and other experience and tips about photography. Guys, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe and check my channel for other videos. So, for who this camera is for? Well, if you print big, it is for you. If you use just pictures for the social media, I wouldn't recommend investing in this setup because it's big, it's heavy, and it's a bit complicated with the settings at the beginning. And the lenses are expensive too. So if you really want to go professionally with your photography career, it's proper to invest in Nikon Z system and go full frame. But if you're doing it as a hobby, I would recommend you to stay or to buy FujiFilm XT system. And I recommend you the XT because it's more fun, and the analog look on it is way much better than the XH1. So yeah, here you go. I hope you enjoyed this video and you find it beneficial to know which camera is for you, and you see why I got this camera. And I hope to see you in the next video.